welcome to It Takes Two 2, a one-of-a-kind duo escape room where you have to work with a teammate to solve the puzzles in MattzahLabs to get to the finish. Now, this map does require teamwork and likely audio to communicate with your partner in order for you to actually be able to solve the puzzles and work together. So, if you don't have a partner, unfortunately, this becomes quite impossible. You do need two people in order to actually successfully beat this map. So find a friend, find a stranger online, and get to solving. You're going to need to use your brain and your skill in order to get out of this. There are so many different components, 5 levels in total. So enjoy this little montage, but without further ado, I welcome you to Matzah Laboratories.
Alright, to start our escape room, we'll have player 1 and player 2. Player 1 is going to go through the portal and hop on the pressure plate. Player 2 is just going to have to go through the door and make their way to the end of the hall. Grab the blast ball and throw it through the hole in the middle to player 1. Player 1 simply has to grab the blast ball and blast himself up to the top of the wall. Now, this is a very particular jump where you need to jump as soon as the blast ball goes off, not a second earlier, to make yourself go to the top of this wall. Hop on the pressure plate and the fan will turn on for player 2 to make their way to the top of their wall. Now, at this point on the map on the level 2, it's going to require some coordination. Player 1 can look down and see the correct path below them. Player 2, on the other hand, does not know where they're going. They simply just see squares below them, but there's invisible blocks. Player 1 needs to tell player 2 where the correct blocks are, and they may need to make their way together to the end of this platform onto the pink slime onto level 3. Now, level 3 isn't hard, but it is all about memorization and teamwork. On the wall, you have colors going from right to left, and on the other side of the wall for player 2, you have colors going from left to right. Simply memorize the colors and tell them to your teammates so they can identify the next tube they need to go through. As you can see here, player 1 has just jumped through white because that is the first color on the wall. Next up is orange, so they're going to go through the orange portal, and keep following this process until you get to the end and you hit the portal. Now, level 4 is by far the trickiest part of the map, where you have to work with your teammate, as player 1 is going to have actually an invisible piece to start off that is perfectly lined up with player 2's piece. It's going to then alternate where player 1 can now see the piece, and player 2 needs to jump on that invisible piece. It is going to keep alternating back and forth, player 1, then player 2, where both players need to go at the exact same time in order for them to understand what's coming next in this section. Once both players get to the end, they can simply hop through the portal. And of course, it wouldn't be an escape room if we didn't have some kind of maze. Now, you can slow down the video here if you want to actually follow it step by step. But basically, as player 1, you need to get this rhino first and foremost, and then find on the map a little bit of a hidden exclamation mark, which you'll see here in a second. Go through here as it is a non-collision wall. Now, make sure you have the rhino. If you do not have the rhino when you go through that portal, you're done. You're scuffed. But then you're going to want to pick up this fan block and just start launching the rhinos through this little hole. Now, at this point, your teammate will actually be on that pipe, so they can, in the same spot where player 1's portal was, but just on the opposite side of the wall as player 2. Once they get sniped by the rhino, they're going to get hit up onto this platform. They're just going to need to hit this button and then jump on down back into the maze. Once they actually hit that button, it unlocks this secret little passage for player 1 to go back down. They do want to make sure they still have this fan block, as it is very important. You're going to want to find this sign on the maze, which is in between the two players on that invisible wall, and you're going to want to blow the fan through this, as player 2 needs some speed in order to make it over this ramp. It's going to look something a little like this. They get the speed, make it over the ramp, and at this point they can now hit this button. This button will in fact turn on a conveyor so that they can make it back on to the other side and continue in the maze. Now that 2 buttons have been hit, there's only 2 more to go. If you look in the top right, you saw where this button is located for player 2, and then this button is here for player 1. Once all 4 buttons have been hit, they've actually unlocked all of the 4 beam barriers that are preventing you from finishing. You can grab your crown and make your way to the finish, and that'll be GG's.